Time now on the Sports Daily to catch up with Matt Welsh from betsy.com.au. Chat everything Flemington. Matt, a very good morning to you.
Yeah, good to be with you.
What a wonderful day one of the carnival, Matt. Good morning.
Yeah, it was fabulous, and good morning to you guys. And weather was outstanding. The weather gods certainly looked after the VRC on Saturday. Not sure that's quite going to be the case on Tuesday, but being on course, there was a great atmosphere, wonderful crowd, and a few of those favourites, particularly at the back end of the day, a huge sort of 85,000 or so person crowd absolutely roared those favourites home. So I think it was a great day for the sport, and it was certainly a good day to be on track.
Are we ready to anoint it Coolmore Stud Stakes Day yet, or is it still Victoria Derby Day?
I'm a big fan of the Coolmore Stud Stakes, and I think it was certainly the feature on Saturday. A wonderful performance from Tentaris. I think he's going to back up this Saturday in the VRC sprint against the older horses. He's a ripping sprinter. The way he so quickly picked off the ground from the tail of the field through the sort of mid stages of the race, and all of a sudden he was there and the race was put to bed, was so impressive. They've run fast time here, 1:08.1's good time for the 1,200 metres. It's going to be fascinating to see how he measures up against the older horses next Saturday, but he is a really, really good winner of the race. John McArdle's done a fabulous job with My Gladiola, the great filly who ran second. She's just a ripper. And good to see Robbie Griffiths get a Group 1 placing with Legacy Bound, really nicely bred horse who ran very well. But, the winner, he could be next level, Tentaris. I think he's just a beauty.
The market was all over him. In fact, the market had a really good day, it must be said. Punters finished on top after day one, but they certainly zeroed around this bloke, didn't they, Tentaris, Matt?
They really did. I mean, I think he was sort of $3.84 at one stage of betting, and he was backed all the way into $2.90. Mark Zara had a brilliant day out. This was one of his 4 winners on the day. And, punters, I think, got it spot on largely right across the day. By the same token, that the original favourite or equal favourite in the race, Bivark, didn't drift too much. He sort of held his price around that 380 mark. But, punters got it absolutely bang on with Tentaris. I think starting price 290. I think might have even been sort of 245, 250 on the world pool. So, those bigger tote players certainly loaded up on him and got it bang on.
How great for racing is it when Pride of Jenny gets out in front and continues to run like she did in the Empire Rose to take that Group 1 out?
Just terrific. It absolutely lit up Flemington, that performance. I think she's one of the sort of fan favourites across Australia, and it's great to see Declan Bates back in the saddle after he was booted off her, a few runs back. He's really made this mare. He's the one who employed the daring tactics that made her what she was, and she was at an absolute brilliant best on Saturday. Just when you think it could be time for her to head to the paddock, she turns in a blistering performance like that. I think the beaten brigade let her get away too far by the 800 metre mark. I mean, she was going quick to the 800, but she wasn't going at a blistering tempo. So for the balance of the field to be sort of 7 or 8 lengths off her, I thought was a big mistake. But by the same token, had they been a bit closer, I still don't think they would have beaten her. She ramped the tempo up from the 800 metre mark to the 400 metre mark, and the race was all over by the time they got into the straight. So, just a phenomenal performance. I think her best performance since that Queen Elizabeth win. It was great to see her back. Like Lucy ran well into second, but, it was a fairly moot point behind the winner. She was just so good. And, again, it looks like she's going to back up on Saturday on Champions Day. So that'll be fantastic for racing there next weekend.
Matt, we've been crying out for a really good colt to win the Derby. Have we got one now in Observer?
Look, I think he's a good colt. I'm not convinced he's a 2,500 metre horse. I think ultimately he'll be a mile or 2,000 metre horse, but I do think he's a good colt. They handed the race really to Mark Zara here. He was allowed to do as he pleased out in front, and I think the length margin probably belies the fact that he's not necessarily a stayer, but he was very good. He defied a bit of a drift late. He ended up starting $3 around that $3 mark on the exchange. I think he got out to 250, 260 in some fixed odds circles. So, but no, he's clearly a very good colt. I thought he should have won the Caulfield Guineas a couple of starts back, and he'll be a very good horse in the autumn, and then once he gets into his open age year, I think he'll certainly measure up. I think Dill Done Fast is a really nice stayer for Matt Kamani. Matt's desperate to win a derby. He ran third with Dill Done Fast here. I think he's one who'll be very competitive in the derbies in the autumn, the Sydney Derby and races like the Adelaide or the SA Derby and also the Queensland Derby. So he ran really well. But yeah, there's no doubt he's a very good colt to answer your question. I just think he'll probably be more a miler, maybe 2,000 metre horse as his career unfolds.
Was there one horse in that derby where you thought might be able to put some pressure into the race, whether it going forward at the start or maybe making a mid-race move?
Well, yeah, I mean, I thought there was a few horses. I thought Dill Done Fast might be a little bit more forward in the run even and put a bit more pressure on. But I think, with these horses so lightly raced, the temptation really is to just try and get them to relax early and get them to see out the 2,500 metres, more so than taking on the short price favourite out in front. So I just think, to be honest, I think that the winner had too much ability on them no matter what. And if something went and took it on, it's probably only going to undo itself. So to answer your question, I just think that tactical speed that Observer has places him in such good stead that it probably scared his rivals away on race day.
So the derby was a little bit of a one-act affair. Are we thinking going towards Thursday and out of the Wakeful that the Oaks might be pretty similar?
Oh, I'm not so sold on that. I mean, get a good feeling. She was a short price favourite. She took out the Wakeful and she did so comfortably. I mean, the one and a quarter length margin that she ended up winning by, she probably had a bit more up her sleeve. But gee, it was a good training performance from Thomas Carberry with Strictly Business, who ran second. She hit the line really well. She'd won a maiden at Ballarat just 8 days earlier, and this was her third start, going from 1,400 to 2,000. She's now $5 for an Oaks next Thursday, so it'd be quite something for Thomas to win it with his small team at Ballarat. I think those two stand out. It's certainly not a strong Oaks at all. Those two are now sort of odds on and $5, and they dominate betting from Spicy Lou. So yeah, I think one of the two will win. But gee, it'd be some story if Thomas was able to knock off Danny O'Brien with Strictly Business.
Did the Melbourne Cup barrier draw on Saturday night change your thinking, Matt?
Oh, it certainly has to influence thinking. I mean, I think the bigger thing looking ahead to Tuesday is just how much rain we're going to get. Looking out my study window at the moment, it's bucketing and has been most of the morning. So I think we're certainly going to get plenty of rain on Monday. But as we know with Flemington, it's such a good drying track that unless you get rain probably during race day, I'd be working off sort of a soft 5, soft 6. But if we get that rain on race day, then could really chop out and you get into the heavy range. And doing the form for the Cup over the last couple of days, the difference in a soft 5 to maybe a heavy 8 is just going to have a huge bearing on who wins the race. And I think more important than the barrier draw. But I think the winners out of the draw were horses like Presage Nocturne. Half Yours, I think, has drawn a really good gate for him. He's going to get a soft run in the race. And then probably those who I thought were disadvantaged. I think Maidan's probably the big loser out in gate 22. He's a horse who he jumps the gates okay. And I think from a gate 5 to 10 he could have settled midfield, but James McDonald's going to have to be at his brilliant best to get him home from gate 22. But really looking forward to the race. I've favoured the Caulfield Cup form leading in. I think Presage Nocturne and River of Stars are the two horses that I'm keenest on. I think Presage Nocturne will handle the sting out of the ground. Step to 3,200 metres, ideal. I thought he was terrific in that Caulfield Cup. And River of Stars, you look at all the on-paces in that Caulfield Cup, they all dropped out and were nowhere near the finish. He stuck on brilliantly. Again, I think she stuck on brilliantly, I should say. I think 3,200 metres suits her. Sting out of the ground, no issue. And then the best roughie in the race, I thought, was Torrenzino. Celine Gaudreau having her first ride in a Melbourne Cup. I think he'll push forward and be in a long way. So they were the horses I was working around and happy to have something on. Valiant King, Half Yours, Al Ripper, they've all got terrific hopes. And there's been a big go on Flatten the Curb at odds in the last sort of 72 hours as well. So it's set to be a great betting race. Presage Nocturne and River of Stars, the two I had on top.
Just one more before we let you go, Matt. One smooth operator. This rain probably doesn't help him. I think we were looking at the market on Tab Touch, he was around $15, and now we're getting this morning he's north of $30. So is that probably the one reason why?
Yeah, I suspect so. He's terrific there in that Moonee Valley Gold Cup. Obviously went around and ran sort of midfield in last year's Melbourne Cup, so needs to improve on that performance. But yeah, the rain's certainly not going to necessarily help him. He certainly would prefer firmer ground, one smooth operator. But drawn a good gate. Harry Coffey won last year's Caulfield Cup. It'd be fantastic to see him claim a Melbourne Cup.
Matt, enjoy Cup Day. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
No worries. Hopefully this rain stops and you guys have a good day.
There's Matt Welsh, as we said, from betsy.com.au. Question without notice, Diggers. You've got a horse going to Melbourne Cup Day tomorrow. You've got the chance to have Mark Zahra ride or James McDonald. Which way are you
Mark Zahra.
Right here, right now. I think he's the best rider in Australia.
He's flying. And that's not just off the back of what he did on...
That's the full spring.
Yeah, the full spring. And the one thing with Mark is he's a heavyweight jockey. And much like James, he basically says, this is the weight I can ride. And unless it's a very special occasion, I'm not going to bust a boil to ride below that weight. Now, he rides a bit heavier than what James does, but they just have a wonderful knack. And they're very comfortable with their model. When I say their model, about who you ride for, what work you do. Like it was really intriguing to hear Mark recently after a 2-year-old of Team Hayes, Lindsay Park's 2-year-old, that won a race. I don't know which one it was. It might have been, I'm not sure of the horse. And Mark basically said, I don't normally ride 2-year-olds this stage of the season, but when it's the Hayes boys, you pick up the phone. Or, when they ring, you pick up the phone. And I thought, well, that shows you how he's travelling, Mark Zahra. He's going that well with a big picture in mind throughout the spring that, I don't know, I won't be riding a juvenile without race experience, thanks very much. But when it comes out of a proven yard like the Hayes boys, he says, okay, I will. Yeah. And that was some sort of a day on Saturday, wasn't it? And look, to be fair, we've seen J-Mac have those sort of days in Melbourne throughout this time of year, but boy, oh boy, back-to-back Group 1s like that.
Racing and sports, going back 9 rides for Mark Zahra. So he ran second in a Group 2 on Clabell at Moonee Valley. So his last 3 rides at Moonee Valley, and then Observer, obviously won. Buckaroo, missed the Cox Plate by a nostril.
Yes.
And then Saturday, Flemington. Bazasto's run third. Get a Good Feeling, winner. Warney, winner. Tentyrus, winner. Observer, winner. Like a Lucy, second in a Group 1.
Yeah.
That's his last 9 rides. He hasn't missed the top 3.
Stunning. And I think you could do the maths there if you went through it and work out the 5% and what he would have earned over the course of those 9 or 10 rides. It'd be pushing past, it'd be up past $250,000, I would have thought.
So season 2025-26, Mark Zahra, 33 winners, striking at 24%. He's ridden 38 place getters, striking at 51% overall. The place.
What about his...
That's from 137 rides, prize money, just over $8 million already.
What about J-Mac? Given he's won a Cox Plate and a Golden Eagle in the space of 7 days, TC. Oh. I'm just going to have a look here, New South Wales jockeys. James McDonald, 12,902,000 is his prize money that he's won. And he's going at 27.8% overall. Metro, he's going at 25.2%. So ridden 34 Metro winners already this season, J-Mac. Like, talk about having a high bar when we sit here and we assess James McDonald.
Well, I'm not even sure if that's calculated the Golden Eagle just yet, because on Racing and Sports really? It's got him 17.6 million in prize money for the 25-26 season.
Chris Waller, prize money. This is the Racing Australia site. He's had 66 winners for the season. Prize money, 22.8 million already. Frightening, isn't it?
What do you do with it?
Frightening. Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right.
All right. The Melbourne Cup market with Tab Touch at the moment, it's been a little bit fluctuating this morning. $8.50 the favourite, half yours. $9 about Al Riffer and Valiant King. $9.50 about Presage Nocturne. There just continues to be a building of momentum for that horse.
Yes.
Everyone you speak to is pretty keen on Presage Nocturne. $10 about Buckaroo, and the mover probably maybe just before the barrier draw, or certainly since the barrier draw, Flatten the Curve has come into $18. I don't know too much about the German jockey Thor Hammer Hansen, other than his name's awesome. But we speak about it, and I think we mentioned it last week, that these riders that probably haven't ridden in the Melbourne Cup or haven't even ridden at Flemington before, personally I find it hard to jump into.
Yeah, I understand the sentiment, but there's no doubt have been plenty of other jockeys who have come here and gone bang.
Yeah, for sure.
Straight away. So, look, what you want to be able to do, I dare say for the jockeys, just get your horse into a beautiful rhythm, have a nice flowing, unimpeded run. There'll be plenty of time for you to make your move. If your horse is good enough, if the horse handles the conditions, should they be wet tomorrow, just get your horse into the best part of the track, follow the right animal, and, good Lord willing, you win the race.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
How many Melbourne Cup winners have you backed, do you reckon?
Oh. Green Moon.
Green
Moon. That was Brett Preble, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I reckon. Not many.
No.
I'm just thinking whether... it wouldn't be many, TC, no. No. The fact that I mentioned Green Moon ahead of any other horse probably tells you the last time I did.
I'm not even sure since I've been 18 I've backed a cup winner, to be honest. Backed a couple, when you didn't know much and Dad used to put the old $2 on a horse. Ethereal,
yes.
Media Puzzle.
Oh, yeah, what a day that was.
I reckon that might be...
Well, you asked the question, what's your first... is Mackay Diva your
Mackay Diva.
recollection of a cup? Yeah,
and
okay.
then Americane, for me, that was the first Melbourne Cup I've seen.
Yep.
And also I love the win of Cross Counter as well, for some reason. That always...
Karen McAvoy?
Yeah, it came from miles off them.
That was the Northern Hemisphere 3-year-old, all of that sort of thing? Yeah, okay, yeah.